go about it? Like we need to provide the material, study material. We are teaching it in a regional language in their mother tongue, but they need to put it down, and during the examination they need to express it, the knowledge, how to go about it. This is a very big challenge. And apart from this, about the vocational training, as sir rightly said, lot of emphasis is being made on this vocational training. So this will give a lot of job opportunities, as well as develop entrepreneurial skill among the students. So sir, how, like, we we at the higher education, we have access to the labs, we have the material, we have the infra. What we can do, we can work in collaboration with each other, we can work in tandem with each other. Like the teachers, they know their students very well, what is their aptitude, how in which direction the student will go, and if they need any kind of support, any kind of training from us, or if they want us to explain the future prospects, if they, like a person might be very much interested in carpentry, but the family might not support it. We are there to explain it to the family also, because it's very important, sir. In most of the cases, the children, they cannot pursue, they are not allowed to pursue in the direction in which they can excel. There's a lot of family pressure. Parents, they should understand, and we as a teacher, it's a responsibility responsibility to make them understand how, like, simple, a boy, he, if he is interested in designing clothes, parent would simply say, I don't want my son to be a tailor. Okay, like it's beyond their imagination. Their son is going in this direction, but their son can excel in that. So we should have a common platform where we can directly interact with the parents, we from higher education, the teachers, and apart from this, the teachers, like the teachers also, the orientation of this teachers who are teaching at the school level, like it it needs to be modified a bit, because a lot of changes are there. Like we are making a shift from the rote learning, which we have been practicing since ages. Rote learning, rato or likho, है ना? So now we need to understand a person, he might be, and I also think a change needs to be made. Like this, certain subjects are there, science is there, maths is there, SST. A student is excelling in that, but the other subjects like art, music. Now, how to convert this into grade? That student is also very talented. Okay, now these things needs to be recognized. So I think these are the areas in which we need to work. And uh, and regarding this vocational training, this interdisciplinary approach. Okay, like for anything, a person might be interested in maths along with music. Now how to guide that person and to create something in which that person can go forward. So we need to work on that. So with these, and moreover, our university, I am from SRM University, Delhi NCR Sonipat, we have been working since the very beginning. Our SRM group, like, it has laid a great emphasis on teaching in mother tongue. But we had the privilege that they started in Tamil Nadu. Tamil language has a script. Now, if I want, like, in many language, like Assamia is there, Bengali is there, in Bihar, Mathil is there, Bhojpuri is there. Does all the language have the script? How? So we need to plan. We as a teacher are have to shoulder this responsibility to take our country forward and make them more and more atmanirbhar. We are, but we don't. But we need to create that path for a student, for the next generation. Thank you.
Thank you, Anjali ji, for that, for suggesting why we need to move from that rote learning based education system to capacity or competency based education system. and also suggesting, how we can create the importance of vocational skills, how we can create a bridge, between school education to those areas. So thank you, all the key speakers for joining and sharing. Now time for the questions. We have received, many questions from different participants. So please allow me a minute before I start presenting questions to all our key speakers. I'll take a minute in explaining what exactly we have been doing at School Lalaji Solutions. I'll share my screen here. I'll just take a minute in that. After that, I'll immediately start sharing questions. Some of you are already aware with School Lalaji Solutions. We are India's largest one-stop solution platform for educational institutions. We are present in 42 cities, working with some around 4,500 institutions. We primarily help school, educational institutions in three ways. We help them in buying right thing from right people at right price. We also help them in selling their old stuff like their old buses, generators, furniture. No, we also help institutions in raising money. That may be in terms of refinancing or loans. Why there is a need for a platform like School Lalaji Solutions when schools already have old suppliers, the team is efficient, you believe that you are getting good discounts. So why you need a platform like School Lalaji Solutions? There is a very strong reason for that. In India, in last 10, 12 years, there are thousands of new companies have come up. They have wonderful product, they have wonderful features, they have wonderful services. But one thing where they lack in that how to reach out to educational institutions, how to reach out to, Somanika ma'am or, Deepak sir, how to make a demonstration to them. कि हम क्या करते हैं. It's also very difficult for school leaders to meet each and everyone. आप लोगों के पास डेली 15, 20, 50 लोग आते हैं. So emails आते हैं, लोग मिलने आते हैं. So you cannot meet everyone. So here we come into the picture. We understand your school, we understand your taste, we understand your budgetary limitation. We also have category experts, who talk to different companies. They understand their strength, they understand their limitations, they understand their advantages in great detail, and they negotiate with them, and then they recommend those companies to you. So we are helping institutions in these different categories like smart classroom, uniform, insurance, diesel, solar plant, language lab, security solutions, furniture, recruitment, music classrooms, healthcare, robotics, STEM STEAM labs, career counseling, stationery, digital marketing, IT solutions, educational tour, generators, learning tools, and finance. And we take the guarantee that we'll save at least your 5 to 7% of your annual budget, annual expenditure. One example only, in 2019, we saved 2 crore 40 lakh rupees for different schools in one category, that was bus insurance. These are some major highlights. We did 8 megawatt plus solar installation for different schools, so 3,000 plus bus insurance, 400 plus smart classrooms, 2,000 plus cameras, 350 plus training programs, 56 old buses. We also installed uniform in 42 schools. By the end of 2021, we aim to reach out to 10,000 institutions. We need your support, your guidance, your blessings. So with this, I'll end this talk here. I'll start presenting questions. So I would request, Sovanika ma'am, if I may present the first question to you.
Right, sir. And sir, sorry, I have not named School Lalaji in my gratitude. So thank you so much. You have been a wonderful moderator.
Thank you.
Right.
That's why I have, I've named School Lalaji here. That Sovanika ma'am forgot in the beginning. So no problem.
Right.
Thank you, ma'am. The first question for Sovanika ma'am. Ma'am, the question has come from Sushma Prakash ji. She's a admin member with Elma Meter, School Bareilly. The Sushma ji's question says, why and how would teacher will get upgraded for national education policy? What are the incentives for teachers?
First of all, thank you, Sushma ji, for this wonderful question. Now, first of all, the incentive for the teacher would be, after she is uplifted herself, empowered herself, she will be in a position to empower her students. So that would be the first, incentive that she would receive in turn, going in a philosophical way. Now, how it will be done? First of all, nowadays it's 2 years B.Ed program, and that too after completion of graduation. Now this 4-year integrated B.Ed program, it will be amalgamated with a specialized subject, and the teaching, how the teaching of students have to be done. So it will go side by side. Now this integrated program will not only have the specialized subject, but there will be intracurricular teaching areas also. Means say if the student so wishes, philosophy, neurosciences, languages, it would be integrated with the teaching pedagogy, or the pedagogy that would be used to teach the B.Ed students. So first of all, this. Now, as it is already in the pipeline of NEP, that the accreditation of the teachers will not be just only for tenure based. Now it comes automatically. So the teachers, they do not endeavor for it. They do not they do not have to work hard for it. Sorry to say, but which comes things which come easy are least cared for. So when it comes to having promotions or having salary rise based on ACRs or confidential reports, it means on the performance based, then the teacher will herself be motivated in a way, or be encouraged for you know to elevate herself. So indirectly, she is some or in the other way trying to make herself more capable, and therefore empowering herself, and indirectly empowering the students. So it's lots of incentives coming in the way if we take it right. So that is
Absolutely.
my answer to
Absolutely.
it.
Absolutely. We all agree with you. There are huge incentives. In fact, I believe with that 50 hours CPD, mandatory CPD, 50 hours, for teachers and leaders, there is no other option. You have to have that kind of thing. You have to prepare yourself. All the teachers need to upgrade themselves with the new things coming up. So thank you, also, Venika ma'am. With that, now I would request Deepak Agarwal sir, sir, if I may present this question to you. Deepak sir, do we have your presence? I believe Deepak sir, has his network is disconnected now, so he'll be joining us later. So now I would request Jaswinder sir, if I may present this question to you. Jaswinder sir, this is again a very regular question. A lot of people ask this question. You made this very clear during your talk that there is no compulsion for schools or educators that they don't need to teach English now. In fact, a lot of people believe that English as a language, is going to get diluted. So, what in your assessment, because you are an authority, you are an expert, from language domain. So, what do you see the future of English, in coming time, in coming years, post NEP implementation? Jaswinder sir.
Uh, Thank you for this question, Rajul. I would like to correct you here. It is not that schools need not teach in English. It is that if the schools want, they can teach in English in the early years. There is no compulsion that the teaching in the early years has to be in the mother tongue. The schools can do it even if they are English medium one. Now, if you look at what Dr. Anjali said, that the entire literature or the entire scripts or knowledge is not available in local languages. True. That is why we say that you can teach in the early years using the mother tongue, but you should also see to it that English too is promoted at the same time. You cannot keep your students not connected to the rest of the world. Language connects you to the entire whatever knowledge is there in the world, and your local language will get you what is local. So what we need to do is, again, I'm going to repeat, the local language should be used for the early years along with English. Both of them should be there. In fact, a third language too can be introduced. And over the years, then they should progress into English as the only language of instruction in schools. Okay. One thing is important. I may teach in the mother tongue, but if I want students to communicate amongst themselves, if I make them communicate amongst themselves in English, this will work. Let me give you an example. Um, uh, uh, Madam from this Vidya Bharati school and the others, that recently Delhi government, ma'am, you are from Delhi, right? Yeah. So Delhi government
Yes.
recently came up with a project for teaching English to their government school children, 10th standard kids. So we were given 50% of the work, and the other 50% of the work was given to British Council. So what we did, we trained these Hindi medium students on how to communicate in English. See, they had to shift to English so that they could go to the next level. So instead of doing it at an age which is difficult to acquire a new language, it should start right from the beginning. So again, I would say English will not lose its importance or shine. It has to be there. It will be there, but the mother tongue too will be given importance, and only in the early years till the time the student acquires English properly, so that whatever is taught to that person in English is understood well, right? Secondly, a lot of knowledge out there on the internet, unfortunately, is majorly in English, right? So they have to have that. There's no second thought that English will lose its shine. It is there to stay. Understand one thing: Hindi is a mother tongue, but English is a constitutional language. Understand, all rules in India are first made in English, and then they are translated into the other languages. So we cannot do without it. It has to be workable. But again, if you want it, use technology, and teachers need not worry how they would work with three languages with that same limited number of teachers. In fact, we come up with a Sanskrit lab. That means if you want to teach them Sanskrit, a Hindi teacher using the software can teach Sanskrit. So that is how technology will help, and that is my answer to your question.
Right. Thank you, Jaswinder sir, for that. And now I would request Anjali ji. Anjali ji, this vocational education has got a great attention in NEP. This also says that 10 days mandatory, vocational exposure to students. So, but a lot of educators, during their talk, raised concerns how the logistics would be made available for that. How the trainers would be made available for that. So, what are your take on that?
Sir, I think that we, the teachers at higher education level, we can be very good trainers. Okay, so because we have reached this point after working on a particular area, so we know the nuisances. So we can select those particular expertise from this higher education, and we can put in our efforts. Like we can go to schools, we can make them understand. If the children are interested in visiting our labs, they can visit our labs. They can work with us. We can give them small projects depending on their interest, and they can work on that. So I think we need to work together on that. Like we need to communicate with the school teachers as well. And and I think if the school children are given this kind of exposure, like see, the internship or the summer training, these kind of terms, the children, they start discussing it or learning about it after 12th standard. So before that, depending on the students interest, if we can promote such kind of internship or such kind of summer trainings where we are available, our lab is available, we can provide our infra, they can come, they can work on small projects depending on interest and develop their skill.
Right. Thank you, Anjali ma'am. So the key would be, schools need to reach out to sources. Schools need to find sources, because it would be almost impossible for every school to create a lab for that. So
Mm.
school need to reach out available ITIs or universities nearby areas, or colleges, or factories or industrial industrial establishments. So So that is going to add huge task, Sovanika ma'am.
Sir,
So this is going to this seems to have added a huge task to school shoulder, which are already overburdened.
not exactly, sir. We do not take it as a burden. But you know, the schools have already started experiential learning. In my school, for example, we have already we are already into intracurricular training. You know, my school's assignments are on intracurricular mode. Supposedly, if a teacher takes up one particular topic, say supposedly water cycle, then she takes it up in the form of a poetry, integrates it with, you know, science, integrates it with social science, and it's the art is also integrated. First of all, this is done, and secondly, the schools are also into, you know, making the children get exposed to the outer world of, you know, education and you know, professional training. We not only wait for the students to come to grade 12, but right from class 9, we start exposing our children to, you know, different kinds of human universities. Children of class 9, you know, they are, you know, given career counseling. So, you know, the schools are already moving ahead in this particular direction. And if you say regarding labs, yes, the schools have the labs as per their requirement, and you know, now many schools are coming up with labs for fashion designing and you know, mathematical engineering. So the things are you know, turning out to be quite modern, quite good nowadays. It's not, you know, a school अब एक छोटा structure नहीं है, अब school बहुत expanded form में है. You know, not only holistic learning, but it is experiential learning too now. So I would, you know, say, you know, put it like that. Yeah.
Absolutely, school छोटा structure तो कभी भी नहीं था मैम.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
School छोटा structure तो कभी भी नहीं था. School was always a big thing, like you know, hundreds of people you know, from
Sir,
different
I
things.
would add like
Right,
to
thank you,
add
ma'am.
sir, I would like to add one small thing. Like sometimes, sir, the students, they are not aware of the opportunities of the fields in which they can move forward. So like the schools can invite those particular people to make them aware, or an event could be organized, because we have been going to the schools, sir, where the 11th, 12th, and even the 10th standard students, they if they want to interact, if they have certain questions, any queries regarding a particular field, then the school emphasizes, okay, we want a resource person from this field who should make the students aware. So this kind of thing should be more common, sir. So
Absolutely,
uh,
absolutely. That exposure,
yeah.
industry exposure would create or you know, share more knowledge. So thank you, Sovanika ma'am. Thank you, Anjali ji. And now I would request Mr. Savio John. The last question for the day. Savio, you represent that art side of education. You know, music in particular. This NEP has put a great attention to music in particular and art side or co-curricular activities. So you know, I have one question, and it's again a very regular question that you know. Sovanika ma'am said कि schools are वो अपना infrastructure build कर रहे हैं, schools are capable in doing that, schools are interested in doing that, but a lot of educators, you know, we have interacted, they say that you know, it would be almost impossible for schools to establish lab for everything. That is number one. For example, in music, this NEP offers flexibility in terms of choosing subjects. For example, let's say 10 students or 15 students or 20 students from each school, they start choosing music as a subject. So do you think it would be possible for each and every school in a country, 3.5 lakh private schools in our country, to establish a dedicated music lab? Number one, to find good, capable, trained music trainers to train those students. So what would be the challenges and what would be the solutions, Fabio?
I would like to give an answer to this question in two parts, Rajulji. Uh, in sync with what Jaswinderji was saying some time back, for using technology to solving a crisis, um, we need to be thinking out of the box to innovate, especially if we need to be teaching children music on such a large scale across the country. During the lockdown, what had happened is that, of course, there were many schools who parted ways and there were many schools who wanted to continue the program, but they found it very difficult as to how to integrate the music program with children who are sitting at home. Why? Children do not have keyboards at home, children do not have drums at home, they don't have guitars. So, what did we do? We formulated some courses like beatboxing, body percussion, home percussion, songwriting. Okay. Now these are novel courses and vocals, Hindustani and Western vocals. So these five, six courses we formulated, we came up with them and we started teaching these children. Now what happens is that these courses, for these courses, you do not need to have an instrument in your hand. You do not need a guitar, you do not need a keyboard, you do not need a drum kit for this. You can use digital instruments. Beatboxing is how you make percussion sounds from your mouth. Body percussion is how you tap, you clap, snap, and make sounds, probably thumping. This is how you go. And home percussion is how you use home materials, like utensils, boxes, or whatever, and how sounds can be created with that. So this is how you can teach music, without actually having the need to purchase an instrument. Now, the second part is you have integrators like us, you have solution providers like us. We come in and we set up the labs for you. We, at our expense, we set up the labs for you. We do the entire carpeting of your room. We rehaul the entire atmosphere. We do the wall paintings. We provide equipment, instrument. We make it very clean and very bright and beautiful. And you leave it to us to take care of the curriculum of the subject. We provide instructors like how I already spoke about. And the second thing, I'm sorry, the third thing is if you need to reach to such a large number of schools across the country, then definitely we have to go the satellite way. There needs to be some kind of a framework or some kind of a guideline given by the government, just like how we have the NEP. It's one singular document which would say this needs to be taught for children from classes 1 to 10. So once that is there, then a specific course can be formulated. Then we can definitely go the digital way, which is very simple and it would be easily accessible. But for schools who want to have a full-fledged setup, then we can come in and do the entire setup for you.
In fact, one solution can be, which Sovanika ma'am said during her talk, that when schools are going to share teachers, as
Yes,
resources, so many schools would be
Yeah.
utilizing the services of good teachers. So schools can
correct.
also share some those labs. This, in fact, NEP talks about that, the cluster schools, or something like that.
Right.
So right,
Even
so
other than the cluster schools, ma'am, there is also a provision given in the NEP which says, to call for local experts. They can be musicians in the local area, probably playing with some bands or some orchestras, and there are a lot of folk musicians as well. So this way, by calling those artists, and the NEP says you can do short courses for 3 months, 6 months, and it needn't be a year-long curriculum. So these artists also can be called and they can, also teach folk music. This is how we preserve our cultural music as well, which is a dying case across most of the places in India. So I
right,
think this is a very good move and this is a very intelligent move.
Can I
right,
add something
absolutely.
here? Can I add
Please, sir.
something here? You see, I'm from Ahmedabad, Gujarat, and we've got India's best school of architecture, known as the
Mhm.
CEPT University. You will be surprised to know they do not have a single teacher in the entire university. All their pass outs who have become big time architects have to give 1 week every year. They fly down on their own expense, they train those kids, and then the kids go back. Right? I mean, and the trainers go back. So this definitely can work. We can have local artisans, local musicians, local experts who can deliver this. Just has to be a feeling internally, and if that can be promoted, I'm sure this can work. There's no
Totally.
dearth of people who can do this. Uh, that's it.
Totally. I also,
Ma'am,
Yes, ma'am.
sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Jaswinder sir, I second you totally. That if we, connect with the local artisans, local musicians, there would be nothing like that. It would not only add to the experiential learning, but it would be, a great aspect for community bonding also. And
Plus
for the
compassion.
students to come across lifestyles, and, have a goal in them, you know, it will not only elevate the students, but also, the stature of the artisans and the craftsmen and the musicians, that will also be elevated,
Yes,
which, nowadays they are not getting the due recognition. So that would be a dual thing. So it would
dignity.
be very, nice if we actually start incorporating this in our, day-to-day learning.
Ma'am, that
Thank you, Savio, for
yeah,
this, wonderful thing.
yeah. And
Thank
that
you.
is why
Thank you.
yeah, that is why in NEP they are asking students to go and work for X number of days so that they can understand each and every profession, and dignity of labor, dignity of profession can be achieved. Any profession can earn as much as you want. The only thing is we need to respect each and every profession in whatever capacity they are.
Absolutely.
That is
Absolutely. So thank you all. Thank you, Sevio. Thank you, Jaswinder ji. Thank you, Sovenika ma'am. So with this, we come to the last part of the session, the concluding part. So before we invite our speakers, I would request if we can have your concluding remarks. So before I invite our speaker, I must thank all the key speakers, for joining and sharing your thoughts. So Vinika ma'am, you talked about teachers empowerment. The major highlights were you talked about, the teachers as our key strength and they have the power to shape the nation. You also talked about where actually our teachers training lack and in current scenario. It lacks in practicality sense. You also talked about that we need to create and which NFE promises that it encourages the environment for research. You know, you also talked about that we need to create efficient teachers training calendar or planning. We need to have that kind of thing. You also said that NEP proposes an option where schools, many schools may use the services of good teachers. So that would be a wonderful initiative. And you also talked about the NPST National Professional standard for teaching. That is a kind of will have a new impact. You also talked about the importance of 50 hours of CPD for teachers and leaders. And then you said in the end that NEP encourages the environment, for collaboration, where the schools or teachers, would be encouraged to collaborate their learnings. So thank you, Savinika ma'am. I'll come back to you for your concluding remark. And then, Deepak Agrawal sir talked about that how this NEP is a well-packed and blended document. It has the power to create more value for everyone. He talked about the biggest differentiation between NEP and the previous policies, the inclusion of early childcare, the importance that NEP gives to early childcare education. For the first time in an institutionalized way, the government has recognized the importance of those early years. So that is a wonderful thing. He also talked about that why this ECC, encourages a holistic environment of learning. So I thank Deepak sir for sharing those things. Jaswinder sir talked about the importance of this linguistic development. He also clarified a lot of confusion, and I must admit that during our last 94 session, we have realized there is a huge confusion. After listening to Jaswinder sir, we get the solutions. But before listening to Jaswinder sir, there are a lot of confusion among a lot of people about this language part. And Anjali ma'am talked about the importance of vocational education and how why we need more collaboration, more integration between these higher education and school education. Then Telio talked about the importance of music, how music can increase our efficiency. It can help us in learning math, can help us in learning languages, it can help us in leading a quality life. So thank you, Telio, for that. So now with this, I would request all our speakers if we can have your concluding remark. And we have established one more practice that while sharing your concluding remark, if we can also share one idea, one something innovative idea which you would like to implement if you get a chance to become Minister of Education of our country. So what would be that idea that you would like to implement? So I'll come to I'll select people randomly so that you can't fix your answers. So I would request Anjali ma'am if you give me your concluding remark and would
Okay.
be your idea if you become a minister of education.
First of all, thank you, School Lalaji, for giving us this platform to share our views with so many eminent peoples. So, my take would be keep to give equal importance and equal weightage, marks wise, opportunities wise, to scholastic and non-scholastic subjects, because not all children are good in mathematics and not all are good in arts. So, equal weightage should be given to both.
Right. So, but, I'm assuming with your answer that if you become Minister of Education, you will divide paper in two parts. 50% for that,
Yeah,
50% for other part. So
50%, yeah, equal.
thank
So
you, thank you.
all get equal opportunities to excel.
All get equal opportunities. Wonderful. Thank you, Anjali ma'am, for joining and sharing that. Now, I would request Savio. Savio, if we can have your concluding remark and what would be your idea if you become Minister of Education of India?
Rajulji, a very interesting question. And if I become the education minister for India, I would make sure that our subjects become more activity based, and I would definitely want to introduce music and dance at the fundamental level, compulsorily across all schools in India.
Right, music and dance compulsory. So thank you, Savio, for that. So you also would be given the additional charge of cultural ministry. With that
100%.
initiative, right, Savio?
100%.
Thank you for
Thank
that. And now I would request Jaswinder sir if we can have your concluding remark and what would be your idea if you become Minister of Education?
Did you take my name?
Yes, sir,
Yes.
Jaswinder
Oh,
sir.
okay. Thank you, Raju. So, my concluding remark would be if I have to talk about NEP 2020, I think this is the last bus and we dare not miss it, right? The whole world has, realized. Let's look at our biggest enemy and our biggest competitor, China, how they change their education system, right? And they are implementing it. We better do it now. Again, the government has done their work. It is us who has to do it rather than finding faults. Let's look at it. This is a huge thing. Let's take it piecemeal. Let's have the first milestone achieved, then the second and the third. And I'm sure within the X number of years, we will be able to achieve what has been desired in this thing. It should not be taken as a very huge disruption. These are small disruptions and these are required disruptions. And believe me, in the last X number of years, all disruptions actually worked. So we should give that. Coming on to the ministry part, um, I'm very passionate about teaching. So I would take up what ma'am talked about, Suvanika ma'am talked about teachers. I would want teachers to be given the status of the first citizens of a country. We need to give them the respect, right, ma'am? We need to recognize that they are the nation builders. We need to give them
Totally.
that, right? If we do that, more and more educated people would like to come back to, come to this profession. See what happens is, let me give you an example. You look at physiotherapists, right? Right from after 12th standard, they start working to be a physiotherapist. It is not a very big this thing, but they love it, they enjoy it because it's a part of medicine or it's a part of public service. Similarly, if we respect our teachers the way we respect doctors, I'm sure good people will join and not just less people. Okay. I have got one more mission and I want to take your
ये
support
सरदार जी
in
तो
that.
कब से जुड़ गए सुबह से ही बोले जा रहे हैं। सरदार जी
I think, Saurabh ji, are you talking about me or somebody else? Anyway, okay. So I would want all of you to support me in a moment that I have actually started. I would like to share a screen. If you can just give me a second, I would want to talk about something very, very important. Uh, just a minute. I need to start this. Yeah, just 1 minute. I'm going to share a screen where okay, yeah. So can you see the screen, everybody?
Yes, sir, we can see your
Yeah.
screen.
Okay. What I want to do is, all doctors have a dr written as a prefix, all engineers have er, all chartered accountants have a ca. Why can't we have an ea written before that, our names? Why can't we give this respect to our students, to our fellow teachers? So I would request all of you to write ed as a prefix to your name and start this movement. Let the world know that we are the nation builders and we are the people who are doing all this. Let this respect be commanded by us. So, request you to do all that. If you do that, I'm sure we will be able to bring in the kind of respect, bring in the kind of good talent, and bring in the kind of change that we need to do, because no amount of infrastructure will bring the change unless our teachers do their work properly. And for that, we need to applaud what they have done in the last 1 year. We've seen we need to respect them and we need to bring respect to this profession. Over to you, Rajulji.
Absolutely. So that is going to be a huge, I would say, thing, and very much desired and necessary part. Teachers, we need to give that respect back to teachers. And during this pandemic time, teachers showed that, why they deserve that respect. And thank you, Jaswinder sir, for taking this initiative. And you are very consistent and very persistent in your this endeavor. So big thanks, Jaswinder sir, for that. Now, I would
Thank you.
request Sovanika ma'am, I would request if we can have your concluding remark, and what would be your idea if you become Minister of Education? What would be your priority?
Sir, if even I'm given not a day for, but even an hour, so I, being the principal of a private unaided recognized school of Delhi, I would definitely want the private schools to be treated at par with the government schools. Now, the agony is that the private schools have not been allowed to increase fees from the since the last 5 years. And now my teachers who have been working so very hard, my teachers, they start working right from 7 o'clock in the morning and they work till 11 o'clock at night. My teachers are here, and it hurts when the government school gets 7th pay commission, and my teachers, they do not get, because there is no rise in the fee. So if I become the education minister even for an hour, I would permit, or I would give autonomy to private schools to at least increase their fee to a nominal amount, so that the teachers, they are paid as per the government school teachers. They get their due. So, and I would conclude saying that, a happy teacher leads to a happy classroom, which leads to a happy school, and thereby leads to a happy nation. Empowered teachers, enriched students, and an evolved nation. That is what.
True, very true. Very true, ma'am. Very true.
Thank you.
Very
Absolutely,
true.
absolutely.
Thank
Yes. We all agree with you, Sovanika ma'am, that happy teachers can create a happy world for our nation, happy world for our students. So big thanks, all the key speakers, Sovanika ma'am, Deepak sir, Jaswinder sir, Anjali ma'am, Sevio ji, for joining and making this 95th session a truly special one. Thank you. So this is the end of the session. Thank you all.
Thank you
Thank you.
so much. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you, sir. Thank you.